Have you ever sat in a room full of people who supposedly love you, laughing at the same joke everyone else is laughing at, nodding at the right moments, and still felt like you just landed here from somewhere else? Like everyone got a manual on how to be human, and yours got lost in the mail. Stay with me for the next few minutes, because I promise you, by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why your brain makes you feel this way, and more importantly, why it doesn't mean what you think it means. Okay, so let's just talk, like actually talk, not lecture, not documentary narrator voice from above talk. Just two people sitting somewhere quiet, having the conversation you've probably needed for a long time. There's this specific kind of loneliness that doesn't look like loneliness from the outside. You can have a full calendar, you can have a partner, a family group chat that never stops buzzing, co-workers who invite you to lunch, and still, somewhere underneath all of that, there's this quiet, persistent hum that says, I don't think I belong here. Not in a dramatic movie villain origin story way, just a soft, tired feeling, like you're watching everyone play a game where they somehow all know the rules, and you're just guessing. Psychologists actually have language for this. It's not made up, it's not some internet buzzword. One of the terms researchers use is existential loneliness, and it's different from regular loneliness. Regular loneliness is missing people. Existential loneliness is feeling like even when people are right in front of you, there's this glass wall between your inner world and theirs. You can see each other, you just can't quite touch. And here's something that might surprise you. This feeling has been studied for decades. Back in the 1980s, a psychiatrist named Irvin Yalom wrote extensively about this exact experience, describing it as one of the core, unavoidable parts of being conscious. The idea that no matter how close we get to another person, we ultimately experience life from inside our own head, alone in there, even in a crowd. That's not pessimism, that's just being human. Every single person you've ever met has, at some point, quietly wondered if they're the only one who feels this out of sync with everyone else. Let's make this real for a second. Think about school. Remember sitting in a classroom, everyone laughing at something, and you laughed a half-second late because you were still processing why it was funny? Or being at a party, watching people slide into conversation so easily while you stood there rehearsing what to say like it was a script for a play you never auditioned for. That's not you being broken. That's your nervous system, your wiring, processing the social world a little differently than the people around you. And this is where it gets genuinely interesting, because researchers have found that people who report feeling like outsiders or strangers to the world often share a specific trait: heightened sensitivity to their environment. Some psychologists call this sensory processing sensitivity, first researched extensively by Dr. Irvin in the 1990s. People with this trait notice more. They pick up on tone shifts in a room, the subtext under someone's words, the tiny inconsistency between what a person says and how they actually feel. It sounds like a superpower, and honestly, in a lot of ways it is. But it also means the world can feel louder, more overwhelming, more too much, and that constant processing can leave you feeling like you're watching life through glass instead of living inside it with everyone else. Now here's a story that so many people quietly relate to, even if they've never said it out loud. Picture someone who spent their whole childhood being told they were too sensitive, too quiet, too intense, or on the flip side, too much. Not because anything was wrong with them, but because the people around them were operating on a different frequency. So they learned to shrink, to mirror, to study other people like a foreign language, trying to figure out the right facial expression, the right laugh, the right amount of eye contact. That's called masking, and it's exhausting in a way most people never see, because the whole point of masking is that nobody's supposed to notice you're doing it. If any part of that just made your chest tighten a little, you're not alone, genuinely. There's actual data on this. A 2023 report from the US Surgeon General's office described loneliness and disconnection as reaching what they called epidemic levels, even before the pandemic made things worse. And a global Cigna study found that a huge portion of adults across multiple countries, multiple age groups, report feeling like no one really knows them, like they're surrounded by people, but somehow still unseen. So when you feel like a stranger on this planet, you are, statistically, standing in a very crowded room of people who feel exactly the same way, all quietly assuming they're the only one. Here's the part that changes everything, though. That feeling of not belonging, it's not proof that something is wrong with you. A lot of the time, it's actually proof of depth. Think about it. The people throughout history who changed how we understand art, science, emotion, connection, so many of them described feeling like outsiders looking in, not because they were flawed, but because they saw the world at an angle other people weren't seeing it from yet. Feeling slightly out of step with everyone else is often the exact thing that lets you notice what everyone else is too busy fitting in to notice. And I want to gently push back on one thing your brain probably tells you a lot, which is, if I were normal, this wouldn't be so hard. Here's the truth. Connection was never actually about being normal. It was about being known. And you can't be known while you're wearing a mask, performing a version of yourself you think is more acceptable than the real one. The irony is, the mask that's supposed to protect you from rejection is the exact same thing that's keeping you from the connection you're craving. Real belonging doesn't come from finally getting good at pretending. It comes from someone finally seeing the unpretend version of you and staying. So what do you actually do with this? First, just naming the feeling helps more than people expect. Psychologists talk about affect labeling, the simple act of putting words to an emotional experience, which has been shown in brain imaging studies to actually calm down activity in the amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for that raw, unprocessed distress. So when you say to yourself, I feel disconnected right now, and that's a real valid experience, you are, in a literal neurological sense, making it smaller and more manageable. Second, stop looking for belonging in rooms that require you to shrink. If you consistently feel like a stranger around certain people, that might not be a you problem. It might just mean you haven't found your frequency yet. And third, and this one's hard to hear, sometimes we keep ourselves feeling like outsiders because deep down, staying an outsider feels safer than the risk of showing someone the real you and having them walk away anyway. But here's the thing. The version of you that people walk away from was never the real one to begin with. The real one is still waiting to be met. If you've made it this far, I just want to say something directly to you. This feeling you've carried, maybe for years, maybe your whole life, the sense that you're watching everyone else live fluently while you're translating everything in real time, it doesn't mean you're broken or too much or missing some piece everyone else got. It means you're paying attention in a world that mostly runs on autopilot, and that is rare, that is valuable. And somewhere out there, there are people who are looking for exactly the kind of depth you've been hiding. If this made you feel even a little bit less alone tonight, that's genuinely the only reason this video exists. So if you want more honest conversations like this one, hit subscribe, stay a while, because this is exactly the kind of space where feeling like a stranger finally starts to feel like coming home. I'll see you in the next one.